go. Boston was the scene last night. Tatum and the Celtics looking to bounce back in a critical Game 2 against Brunson and the Knicks. And this one went very much the way Game 1 went. Celtics open up a big lead in the first half, then extend it in the third quarter. It's an 11-point game, and then in this third, Monica, they open it up. Here's Jaylen Brown.
Yeah, and look, Jaylen Brown in particular was really on a mission in this ball game. He was aggressive, he was hitting threes, he was getting to the paint as well, and then that shot was kind of like, oh boy, here we go.
Up 20, just where they wanted it.
Exactly right. The Celtics were 40-2 this season when leading by 20 at any point in the game, but we know what one of those two was. Here come the Knicks in the fourth. That's Mikal Bridges beating Drew Holiday. It's a 10-point game. Celtics, no good. Back we go the other way. Brunson, Bridges, all 14 of his points came in the fourth.
You got to know that Mikal Bridges was 0 for 8 until that point. Yeah. He had been 3 of 21 in the series in the 2 games until the fourth quarter.
It's a 10-point game here. That's an offensive rebound. That's Brunson with the 3. Knicks within 7 again. Now here we go, 4 minutes left. And now the Celtics on a fast break opportunity. Derek White turns down a good shot for a great shot. Jayson Tatum has time to make himself a sandwich. The Celtics missed 13 straight shots in the fourth quarter, people.
You missed that.
And suing Knicks possession. Alan, there's Hart, and it's a 5-point game.
It is what this team does. It just keep cutting and cutting and cutting. And watch this right here.
Put back.
Boom.
Plus the foul. Karl Anthony Towns at 21 and 17. It's a 1-point game. 2 minutes left. Same score. Brunson.
Dirk.
Finding space. The Knicks take the lead. 1 minute left in the fourth quarter. Here we go. Brown, no good. White, no good. On the break. Knicks going the other way. Brunson, contested, but tough. Knicks up 89-86. And so here's the decisive plays. 24 seconds left. Celtics down by 1. What happened on the defense here, Monica?
All right, so Al Horford sets a great screen. Mitchell Robinson's out of position. This is Jayson Tatum.
Scream.
Okay, listen. This is Jayson Tatum. That's what you expect.
Tatum's only bucket in the fourth quarter so far in this series. Celtics up by 1. Next, Knicks possession. Brunson fouled, down 1. 13 seconds left. Makes the first. Here's the second. It's good, so the Celtics will call a timeout and figure out what they want to do. The Celtics will call a timeout and figure out what they want to do. No, they won't. They'll try and do the same thing again. This is Jayson Tatum on the road to nowhere.
Mitchell Robinson
moving his feet.
Torture chamber.
Second straight game, the Celtics don't get a shot off at the end to try to win it. Not only don't they get a good look, they don't get a look. Tatum stuffed. It's Bridges again for the second straight game. Impossibly, incredibly, and amazingly, the Knicks steal Game 2. They're up 2-0 against the defending champs.
2 games, we up 20 points. Somehow end up not with wins. It's inexcusable. But we're gonna learn from it. We're gonna respond.
Joe, what was the thought process with not calling timeout there with 12 seconds left?
Had 1 left, got a good look on the exact same play 20 seconds earlier, tried to execute the exact same thing. They did a job of their lower pickup point, and we weren't able to get the advantage that we had on the last Tatum dunk. So good full court setting. They subbed out Towns, weren't able to sub out Brunson, had action there, and we just didn't execute.
Okay, so put your feet up. We got plenty of time to dive into this. There are huge storylines, obviously, that abound. There is the big picture, and we will have time to get to that. But let's start in the little picture. Let's start at the end of the game. Wendy, you were there. Take us inside that. Mazzulla said he had what he wanted on the floor. He believed in what he had. He didn't call the timeout. He's getting roasted on Twitter, but that's not a good place to look for analysis. This is. Wendy, tell me about that last sequence.
Yeah, so I was in the Knicks locker room after the game, and I specifically asked OG Anunoby, did you and Mitchell Robinson talk about how to defend it differently? Because the first time it was a disaster. And he said there was no time. As soon as Tatum got the ball, they looked at each other and said they knew what was happening. They knew they were going to do the play. And all across the Knicks locker room last night, praise for Mitchell Robinson for the way he made the adjustment, dropping further back, denying Tatum his preferred right side, forcing him into the help. In the Celtics locker room, Greeny, the last plays of the last couple of games aside, it was obviously did not go the way they wanted. they're having difficulty coming to terms with what it is happening. They don't understand why they're losing. They believe their process is working. They believe they're generating good shots. They are doing the recipe that delivered them the championship and 61 wins, and they are not getting the bake out of the oven like they are used to. Obviously, there's variance with shooting. This doesn't make sense to them. They feel like they're doing a good job on Jalen Brunson. He's only shooting 35% in the series. They want Mikal Bridges taking all of those contested jumpers as he made in the fourth quarter. He's shooting 29% in the series, but they're losing. They're at a little bit of a loss right now.
Well, I can help them if they're trying to figure this out. Cindy, can you put up A24? The Celtics in the fourth quarters of both of these games have completely disappeared. They've shot 15%. These are in the fourth quarters from 3. They've shot 26% from 2. They've been outscored by 22 points in the 24 minutes that make up the 2 fourth quarters. Let me get Big Perk in, and then we will get to the telestration. Big Perk, how about that final sequence last night? What did you see?
Well, look, everybody's an expert and everybody's a coach. Joe Mazzulla should have did this. He should have called a timeout. Joe Mazzulla has a history of taking timeouts home. He always want to have some salmon with some mashed potatoes in the side of timeouts when he gets to the crib. So I knew he wasn't going to call a timeout in this particular play. And guess what? He wasn't wrong though. You have the ball in your best player hands with a lot of time on the floor. Did you see the difference between Jayson Tatum in that moment and Tyrese Halliburton in that same moment the other night when he got the offensive rebound? The patience, the way he was able to dribble out, get the spacing, saw that he had the mismatch, knew that he was going to his step back to hit the Cavs with a dagger 3. This is not on Joe Mazzulla. This comes down to the heart and the mentality, right? And you think about, when I look at the Celtics, it's only one guy that is playing his ass off right now for the Boston Celtics on both ends of the floor, and that's Drew Holiday. He has the assignment of guarding Jalen Brunson, which he has done an excellent job of individually, not getting screened. And on top of that, he's producing offensively. This is on the backs of Tatum and Brown. They combined last night. They was, 13 for 42 from the field? That's unacceptable.
Yeah, Tatum in particular has really struggled. I will get to him in a second. Let's get to that final play, though, because you put together a tape.
Yeah. Well, this is, again, let's give credit where credit's due. This was a great defensive stop. Let's make sure we also acknowledge that. Tatum didn't have many options on this because Mitchell Robinson played it perfectly. Instead of dropping back, he went up when they saw that screen coming. Tatum also walks the ball up as opposed to the previous possession where they were going downhill. So right here you see Robinson's not behind the screen. He blitzes it, forces him to his left hand into the torture chamber where you have 2 wing players who were traded to the Knicks just for this moment right here. OG Anunoby, Mikal Bridges. That's where Robinson sends him into. And Tatum did not want to set himself up for a step-back 3. You know why? 25 for 100 is why. It's in his head, too, not to settle for a 3. I got to take it to the basket. Not comfortable on his left. He loses the ball a little bit. Give credit to Mitchell Robinson, a 7-footer, who was able to move his feet and understood the assignment. Force him to his left, send him to those wings, and let them do the rest. And that's how that game became a stop. That's how that became a win for the Knicks.
Yeah, to Perk's point, it's the player's job to make the coach look smart. The coach can look smart whichever way it goes. Yep. The players have to make the plays. Monica, you're doing the game there. For those who don't know, Monica does the Knicks radio. We'll show your call of the finish a little bit later this morning. It was excellent. But your thoughts on that final sequence? Your radio partner immediately says, they don't use the timeout, here they come. What did you see?
Mitchell Robinson was the star to me. Like, he was the absolute star, because I think if you go back to game 1, first of all, not even just game 1. Let's do the history of this series over the course of this particular season, right? The Knicks have really had to work through how they want to defend screens, and in fact, the Celtics have targeted them. There were some crazy numbers in terms of how many times they went after Karl-Anthony Towns in the regular season, so on and so forth. But in game 1, you saw a commitment to not being the weak link, right? Guys who are going to take their one-on-one responsibilities seriously. And yes, rotations are a part of basketball. Those are going to follow up. But I think in that moment, again, it was one-on-one. Mitchell Robinson said, I'm not going to be the one, and then the help could rotate. I just think, Greeny, and I continue to say this, and I really believe this, if the Knicks were not tested the way they were by the Pistons, I'm not sure that this group is prepared to show up this way.
Great point.
I mean, I can give you the stat on the close games. Cindy, put up A29, if you would, please. The Knicks have now played 6 straight. A29 is 6 straight games decided by 3 points or fewer, which ties the longest streak in NBA playoff history. The last time it happened were the 81 Celtics, who went 4-2 over that stretch. So, Big Perk, let's talk about that for a minute here, because I liked where you were going. The reality is coaches make decisions. It's the player's job to make them look good or look bad. Jayson Tatum has had just a brutal series so far. What are we seeing from the Celtics' biggest star?
Well, I mean, he's not stepping up. And look, you know, playing with Paul Pierce, you know, in my Celtic days, the one thing I will acknowledge about Paul Pierce was that he took pride in protecting his career. Right? He took pride in individual matchups and not losing games on his home floor. I'm not seeing that from Jayson Tatum right now. And it's all about the dog, right? Being the dog, being able to get to the free throw line. And I get it. He shot only 5 3-point shots last night. And you got to give a lot of credit to OG Anunoby. You got to give a lot of credit to Mikal Bridges. Hell, Jalen Brunson, that time, we see him sliding those puppies. And we saw at the end of the play, we saw Mitchell Robinson get down in the defensive stance. But at some point, Jayson Tatum got to say, I'm the best player on the floor. I cannot be guarded. He's one of the most elite scorers in the game today. And I just don't see that tenacity. I don't see that dog in him. And this is, I thought, was going to be his moment after being disrespected all summer long, that he was going to be ready to protect not only his championship, but definitely protect his home court and his crib.
And so they're down 2-0. Cindy, one more. Let's put up A23 as I give it to Windy here for thoughts on this. Jayson Tatum in clutch time in this series, in both games obviously decided in the end, so both games going to clutch time. Tatum in 23 clutch time minutes in the fourth quarter and overtimes in this series has made 2 field goals with 2 assists and 2 turnovers. Windy, what are we seeing from a Celtic team that you described as, I don't want to say shaken up, but confused by what has happened in the first 2 games?
Yeah, it's a difficult situation for me to try to get my arms around, because the Knicks seem to be comfortable being behind in the fourth quarter. That seems to be where they prefer. They like the feeling of walking the team down. And when you look at the fact that they have won 5 consecutive road games by 3 points or less, which has never happened in NBA history before. No team has done that in a whole postseason. No team's ever done that more than 2 times in a row. They've done it 5 road games in a row. They seem to be comfortable playing from behind. And that is an unusual thing for me to understand. And the Celtics seem to play tight. You would think being up 20 at home, that's when things get rolling. But they seem to tighten up. And I can't explain that. And I think a lot of people are having trouble squaring how this is happening. The results are not matching the process. I really am having a hard time figuring out where this series is going to go.
I got you, Wendy, but I will offer this too in watching these 2 games. And in the playoffs at large, I think when you have teams that still have room to grow by the time they hit the playoffs, something unique can happen. And I'm wondering if you've sort of seen these guys peak earlier in the season. I mean, if you think about the basketball life of a Jayson Tatum, a Jaylen Brown, these guys have been in the Eastern Conference Finals the last 5 years together, and Jaylen Tatum, has one more additional run than that. So when it gets late, to Wendy's point of those guys tighten it up, they look tight, they look tired, and the Knicks, meanwhile, to me, have grown through each game in this series.
When we talk about the health, let's just be clear what we're talking about. Brown, there were the injuries, the knee is a concern, and Porzingis is a major concern.
He's only played like 25 minutes in this series so far. Missing him is a big part of what they do. But I'm telling you, I still think it all boils down to 25 for 100. Because they rely so much on
the shooting percentage from 3 in the 2 games.
When you're tired.
They rely so much on that when that's not going down, it's sort of, now we got to drive the ball. We got to do things that are not comfortable, that are different, but they always rely on burying you with threes. And when they're not going down and that's in the back of your mind, it does change the way you feel. Because now that default that you're so used to being there is not there anymore. And when they don't have that and they go 13 straight shots without making a bucket, and the other team, as you said, Monica, has a little bit of a toughness about them that they keep scratching and clawing. Like, that is a recipe for disaster. But let's also not forget.
Look at there are your numbers, though, Alan. Again, just to illustrate your point.
25 for 100.
They shot 25% in game one. They shot markedly fewer threes last night, for whatever it's worth, but they shot the same percentage. And we had the stat in the essay that we did yesterday. When they shoot above 30% from three-point range, regardless of the number of attempts, they're basically unbeatable. And when they shoot lower than 30%, they're very much beatable. Perk, go.
So we're not going to address the elephant in the room.
What's the elephant?
I'm gonna say the quiet thing. I'm gonna say the quiet thing out loud, or ask the question, right? What the hell is going on with Kristaps Porzingis? Like, what is this mystery illness that no one knows about, right? This has been lingering since March. Like, what is going on? The NBA don't know. Like, nobody knows what's going on with him. And it's concerning because, like, he's on the floor. Is it contagious? Is it not? Is it, like, what's happening? We need some answers here.
So,
like, you,
Wendy, what do we know?
Keep saying, oh, he's out.
I spoke to him last night. He just described what happened to him in the last few days as a big crash. He said he was managing what he was dealing with relatively well, and he's had this crash, and he feels it from a fatigue standpoint. That's why they didn't start him last night. Now, when you hear he's sick, he's not sneezing. He's not wheezing. He's feeling incredible fatigue. Boston is one of the leading medical cities in the world. He is an NBA player with a huge investment in him. Trust me, they have taken him and had all these specialists look at it. This is a problem. He was managing it well. He said it's killing him that it's happening now, but he is not himself. He admitted that. And that, I don't know how big of a factor it is, but not having Porzingis to go to as an option to run offense through is definitely a factor in the Celtics having trouble scoring.
I believe it is a huge factor, Big Perk, and I think that's what you were getting at. He was their cheat code. As we watched their run through the playoffs last year, when they had a healthy Porzingis, they were, for all intents and purposes, unbeatable, and they missed that in this series. There's no question about it. Perk.
I mean, look, last year, it wasn't Jokic, it wasn't Embiid. He was the best post-up guy in the league last year. He led the league in the post-ups, right? When they ran high pick and rolls with him and they got the switches, they threw it down to him on the low block or at the nail, and he was able to take advantage of it. The Celtics don't win the NBA championship without Kristaps Porzingis. He was the one that gave them the separation in the NBA Finals against the Dallas Mavericks on both ends of the floor. So I'm not throwing shade or going at him. I'm just trying to understand what is going on. You know, what is happening with him? Nobody is saying nothing. It's just a big mystery, and I think we all deserve answers.
Yeah, I think the part of it that is confusing or frustrating or confounding or whatever word you want to use is that I don't think they have answers, and that's the problem. So let me show you something very unusual. A27, so here's the poll. I want to set it up by telling you that the Celtics, who opened up the series minus 900 favorites to win, are now the underdog in this series. Okay, the Knicks are favored at minus 115. The Celtics, however, all these from ESPN Bet. The Celtics remain the favorites in the East. It is an unusual wrinkle in the way gambling works. But the Knicks are now favored to win this series, but the Celtics remain the favorites to win the East. It has to do with how prohibitive a favorite they would be if they get to the next round.
Can't figure it out either.
So I have, exactly right, I have the poll up, and you just saw it a minute ago. If you go to my page on Twitter X, which is at ESPN Greeny, I ask, who's going to win? And right now, it is 50.
That's crazy.
50.
That's crazy.
We keep the poll open. We're going to keep the voting open until the end of the show today. Celtics 50%, Knicks 50%. Get on Twitter, cast your vote. Let us know what you think.